Hey guys, this is Oyenike, also known as Nikki Gold. Welcome to Living Life with me. Just as I said in my last video, this is the second part of the video, and today I will be talking to a friend who is going to share with us her personal experience as a victim of domestic violence. Just a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when I upload anything new. I have with me a friend who is going to be sharing with us our experience as a victim of domestic violence. And also joining this discussion is another friend. Her name is Omoniyi Blessing. I'm going to put a link to a YouTube channel in the description box after this video. So, Judith, thank you for joining this conversation, and I really appreciate it. The first question I would like to ask you is, who is Judith?
Judith is a young mother, a career woman, modern woman, and a respect of God.
So, what were the qualities that you saw in your husband that made you marry?
Ex-husband. The qualities that I saw that attracted me to him was he came across a family-oriented man, which it was one of my boxes to tick. He showed care. He wanted a family, and he could speak my language. And we're both from the East Africa, so we had a lot of culture similarity. Yeah.
So at what point in your marriage did you start noticing the change in him?
He changed when ABCD started happening, but you don't realize it because I'll tell you what, as much as I counted myself a very educated person, a person who is outspoken, a person who is aware of my rights, a person who I have been in situations to advocate for others. Believe me, there's nothing that prepares anyone for domestic violence. So you really can't tell at what point it started, because now it becomes a new normal until when you get support. If you're lucky to get support, that's when you realize you've been in it for so long. So after I started getting support, that's when I realized, it started when some habits started coming in. Just habits of drinking, habits of him having unrealistic expectations, I would call it that way, and having to run my life. I would say that, having to be the one to call the shots on what I wear, what I do, what time I get home, how he wants things done without considering my schedule.
So when you noticed all these things, did you take any step, or did you try to talk to him? Did you guys go for counseling? What did you do?
Before I realized that what he is doing is the actions of a perpetrator, I really wanted it to work. And he was the first man that proposed marriage, and maybe it came at the time where I was very vulnerable and I really wanted it. And I've been praying for it. So most probably I mistook or assumed God's, how you can assume, my answer is prayer because it's happening how I want it. But maybe it's not
it was more like part of the challenges of marriage is just a phase, and you're probably going to get over it, right?
Yes.
So it was more like a trying time. You termed it a trying time in the marriage. Like, it's going to change. It's just, one of those things.
And because I really wanted this marriage to work, I was holding in the name of, okay, maybe it's the alcohol that is making him to do that. Okay, why can't we get help? Why can't we? I try to book appointments to go and see, because before you get any help with alcohol, you have to go to the GP, you have to get referrals. I was desperate, and I was exploring I was trying to exhaust all avenues for it just to work.
He doesn't see that there was a problem, so it was hard for you to tell someone who cannot recognize that he has a problem, to tell him that you need help.
Yes.
So even if you're figuring out that he's changing, but the problem is he does not see the fact that he's changing. It could have been that that's who he was, but that's not the part you've seen.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's more like, what's she talking about? I don't have a problem. You have the problem, not me. So you cannot take someone out for counseling or, try to help them when they cannot acknowledge that there is a problem.
You mentioned that you did not recognize that you were going through domestic abuse. Why is that?
Yeah. I was so blinded with the expectations of the society. I was so blinded. Oh, what are people gonna say? We just not too long in a marriage.
Yeah.
Not forgetting that he was also because he sponsored my visa. So it was like, okay, if I decide to just leave, then it's gonna look like the way he kept saying, you're just here because of that paper, and
it would be like you are a user.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be termed a user.
Yeah, even though I know I was genuinely for that relationship to work, there were so many things that closed my avenues for me to seek help. I think it was just the fear of the unknown. And the fact that I was so much deep into this abuse that my mind could not think straight.
It felt like the new normal.
Yeah.
And it felt like anything that does not require him shouting or acting the same normal, it means there is something wrong. Do you get it? So when the house is peaceful and he's happy, he feels like, is this man okay today? Because that's not the normal you now know.
Yeah. And I had to succumb to his demands and abuse for the sake of his peace. Okay? For example, like you all know, I'm a career person. I had responsibilities at work. Sometimes I had to put so much effort more at work because it's one of the demands of the position. But then when I come home, we live together. We both of us leave in the morning for work. Sometimes it is his day off, he's at home and I'm at work. When I come back home, he's already drunk and he's asking me, where's the dinner? He would even ring me, how come I can't see food? And realistically, he understands better that I'm not at work, I'm not at home, I'm at work. So for me, I just found myself in a partnership that was not working. There is no school where you can learn or that can prepare you for domestic violence.
What's happening? Did you at any time have like any friend to call you and ask you what is going on? Probably maybe you look different, your appearance, you stop socializing, anything like this happened to you?
Yes. And you don't realize it. And then that's when God brought this lady in my parents. And she would come to me and say, Jay, let's get out. We need to get out, And the times that I was visiting Blessing, even before I could express my worries to Blessing, I didn't want to go home. That's when I realized it's really that bad. I had friends that there was one lady, when I shared this with her, because at that time you're very scared to talk about this to anybody. Like you have to find someone where it can be a safety circle. So I met this friend. She grew up in my country. She's not from my country. And sat me down and said, this is not right. This is an abuse. This is something that you need to seek help for. This is the person that really opened my eyes and said, this shouldn't be happening, And on the other end, I had few friends that also, I wouldn't call them really my friend. I would say acquaintances, because they really were against me speaking up. They were, you have to endure. But I kept feeling very, very bitter because none of them fits in my shoes. For how long will I endure in this marriage? Is it by force? Don't realize that you're becoming someone's slave until when you're so much deep into it. And I thank God for the friends that stood up for me in the gap, Believe me, you are very petrified. You're even scared to go and have conversation, because when you come home, that person will tell you, I know you've been talking to people, but like that's sort of controlling. and even he doesn't know, but it makes me feel, oh, maybe somebody's telling him. So it makes me also not trusting the circles around me.
Point did you realize
At
there
what
is a
point?
problem and you can continue in this marriage? Like, what events actually opened your eyes to feel like I've had it enough?
When I saw him as a complete stranger, when he comes home, I don't stop shaking. When I never wanted to come home, when I felt when I kept driving and when you start having those suicidal thoughts, that's when I thought it's time to move. The time where when it came to a point I didn't want to be around him anymore, when I felt I never wanted to go to work, when I woke up in the morning and I didn't even want to see him, my sleep pattern completely changed. And when I sleep, I never wanted to wake up. When I started having suicidal thoughts of like, okay, I don't want to be here, that's when I really seek God and I decided, you know what? I don't know how you're going to do it, God, but I need to be out of this place.
In a nutshell, you're saying your marriage drove you to a point of depression.
Yeah.
And you totally lost control of who you are.
And
The point that you started getting anxious. It was more of depression and anxiety. Anxious, like, I'm not even sure you were anxious at any point. I think you were more
Yes,
depressed,
I
like,
think that she
this
was
is the end of
already in
it.
the crisis stage. Just as I said in my previous
Yeah,
video, I said there are three
yeah,
stages. There is this crisis stage, and that is where you are so scared that something's going to happen. You
and
feel
at that time,
secure and safe with him around you. Yes, so
yeah.
I
that's
want to
correct.
ask you, did you at any point report him?
At some point I did. At some point I did, and I think that I contacted the police and then I hung up. And I think the system that works in this country is that whenever you contact them, there's a way
At your
they
location.
track your location and they come to reach out to you. So at that point, when they come home, they could see I have a bleeding on my lips, but when they ask you what happened, the help is here. But believe me, I just couldn't even say, oh, he did it. Or, like I just felt like I'm
So
letting
giving
him
you
down or stabbing him in the back. So I just said, oh, I just bite myself. But because they trained, they know it's not okay. And they would let you go at that point. But at the end of the day, they refer you. They have a mandatory reporting where they have to contact the domestic violence and say, look, we're suspecting something is going on in this house. We just want you to follow up.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, it's just like a normal procedure.
yeah.
The floor is open. You have the choice to open up, but they make the effort for you to make a choice. Like when you feel that it's getting away, and the domestic violence team are aware to know that they have to check on you, follow up until when you're confident enough to trust them to open up to them. Like, this is what I'm going through, or that is not what is going through. Because I think victims of violence, there's no way you get to a point where you continue to keep quiet. This system might not work in Nigeria or some other African countries, but I know that in Australia, domestic violence is seen as very intense and serious. And the victims are are given that platform of, we are not forcing you to say it out, but we'll be here for you every step of the way. When you're ready to come out, then they will step in 100%. I think that's one thing most Nigerian or other people don't have available, for you to get to that point because of the society needs and expectations.
Anonymous person. I don't know who this is, and I really thank God for that person, because I believe if this person did not be there and step up on that gap for me, I don't think I would be here today. You know. So whoever it is, I am so grateful, and deep down my heart, I always give my gratitude to God for that person. And this is also just to also encourage other people that it is good to voice it out. You know, the victim might not be able to be at the right state of mind at that moment, and you might be saving children from having losing their mother. You might be the one saving the leaders of tomorrow, or someone who can be an inspiration to another person by voicing up. So whether you suspect, it doesn't have to be accurate that there's domestic violence. Even a suspicion, you have a right to go and say, look, I'm suspecting this is going on. Just look out. It's better for them to come and do a welfare check and realize there's nothing going on than finding women or young mothers being killed in their homes just because another person was scared to speak up, you know? Yeah, so I'm grateful for this moment and for that person. Also, the victim of domestic violence, it is not okay when you go and talk to someone. There's systems that works in this country. There's system that we don't have it where we come from, but it works well here. That as a woman, as a person, as a partner or a man, you have a voice.
Yeah.
You know, you have
I
a
do
voice
agree.
and you have rights, and you need to understand also what is domestic violence, because domestic violence is a land, it's abuse, it's a land abuse. It's an abuse that someone learned from somewhere, because it's not because of the mental health or the alcohol that people use as an excuse. It's a learned character. It's a character that is learned.
You think it's learned?